The Chancellor has set out her vision for a new era of British growth. But will it hold up? Well, the Chancellor Rachel Reeves joins us now. Good morning to you, Rachel Reeves. Good to see you this morning. You've made it clear, haven't you, that economic growth is the #1 mission of your government. But the most recent official data shows there's virtually no growth in GDP. And in your announcement yesterday, not one of those announcements was new, and not one of them actually provides immediate growth. We'll see growth in 20, 30 years, but no answers for now. It's not solving the immediate problem. So what are you going to do to get growth in the economy now?
Well, the most recent numbers did show the economy growing, but that growth is not strong enough. I want to go further and faster in delivering it. A business survey that came out straight after my speech yesterday suggested that 2/3 of business, because of what I announced, now feel more confident about our country's growth prospects. And I'm confident as well, because low growth, which is what we've experienced for the last decade or so, doesn't need to be our destiny. We've got so much potential, and the announcements yesterday, whether it is a third runway at Heathrow, the Oxford-Cambridge Growth Corridor, creating Europe's Silicon Valley here in the UK, a new stadium at Old Trafford, investment in Teesside in sustainable aviation fuel, reopening the airport in Doncaster, all of these things add up to an ambitious plan to grow our economy, to make working people better off with more money in their pockets.
Well, and that sounds great, except that 1 in 4 businesses have cut jobs since your budget. Sainsbury's, Morrison's, Tesco, Asda, BP have announced thousands of job losses and blaming your policies for it.
Well, businesses have to make their own decisions about the number of staff they need to serve their customers. If you look at the forecasts from the Office of Budget Responsibility, the independent forecaster, they forecast that during the course of this Parliament, employment will rise and unemployment will fall. The announcement yesterday about the third runway at Heathrow could create 100,000 jobs. The investment zone that I announced yesterday in Wrexham and Flintshire with JCB and Airbus could create 6,000 jobs. The investment by Prologis at East Midlands Airport, 2,000 jobs. So there's plenty of reasons to be optimistic about the ability of our economy to grow and create jobs, because this government are serious about getting things built once again in Britain, not just talking about it, but delivering. And for Heathrow, we want spades in the ground in this Parliament. We've asked Heathrow to come forward with plans by the summer. We want to sign off a development consent order in this Parliament so we can get cracking and see those planes take off.
But talk in the papers today is saying that Heathrow won't be ready until 2050. So what happens in the immediate term, in the next few months? Because if the economy continues to underperform and you don't meet your fiscal rules, can you rule out emergency tax measures after March the 26th, which is when the OBR sets out its economic forecast? Can you rule that out?
Well, we made tax changes in the budget. The Office of Budget Responsibility will give their forecast on March the 26th. That's in 2 months' time, and I will set out our plans then. But in the budget in October, we did what was necessary to draw a line under the economic and fiscal mismanagement of the previous government, a £22 billion black hole that I inherited, that we have now addressed. But I'll set out the plans. I'm very happy to come back on your programme to set those out on March the 26th.
Look forward to that. Can I just, before we let you go, can I just ask you about the 7-year tax rule? Because there's a lot of speculation that you're going to scrap that, which would allow people to pass things on to their family, and as long as they survive for 7 years, there wouldn't be any inheritance tax payable on that. Is that going to go?
I've got no plans to make changes to that. I set out the tax changes at the budget in October last year, but in that budget I was able to freeze fuel duty and haven't increased taxes on working people, their income tax, their national insurance or their VAT, because this government is determined to tackle the cost of living crisis created by the previous government that we are now dealing with.
OK. Chancellor, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Well, we're joined now by GB News political correspondent Catherine Forster. Good morning to you, Catherine. What did you make of what the Chancellor had to say there?
Yes, well, I think these plans that she announced yesterday, they are big and they are bold. If all of this development happens, all these new airport runways, this Oxford-Cambridge growth corridor, these are really big and ambitious plans, and there's a lot to be welcomed. Of course, not so much if you are concerned about the environment, perhaps, but the problem is, isn't it, that all of these things are going to take many, many, many years, first of all, to get them up and running, and then to deliver that growth that is the government's number one mission. Now, we need growth now, and none of this, as far as I can see, is going to deliver that. In fact, many people would say that Rachel Reeves' budget back in October is delivering the very, very opposite, because what it did with that huge national insurance rise for employers is make it harder for businesses. And so we are seeing these job cuts, bank branch closures, many businesses saying that they are being hurt, that their ability to hire and invest is being directly hampered by those actions that Rachel Reeves took. And although they don't want to increase taxes further, before the election that they said they had no plans to increase taxes beyond a very few limited measures they'd laid out, but things change. So I think it's very likely that there may need to be some adjustments in the spring. So in the short term, we don't really have any growth, 0.1%, nothing to speak of. The economy has been broadly flat, and the trouble is that people want to feel better off and soon, and the government need to make people feel better off and soon, because although they've got a massive majority, a lot of those seats are pretty marginal, and we've seen in the opinion polls, Labour have plummeted. So we all need growth, and we need to see it quickly, and nothing, as far as I can see, to suggest that anything announced yesterday is going to bring any of that anytime soon.
OK. Catherine, thanks very much indeed. It's a shame we didn't have longer with the Chancellor, but that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. What's interesting is that this is, especially the airport expansions, a big headline-grabbing policy. And yet, what's Net Zero Secretary Ed Miliband make of it all?
Well, he wasn't there yesterday, was he?
No.
He didn't make it out of Westminster.
Sadiq Khan has said he's going to fight this all the way. So it's caused some pretty deep splits in the Labour ranks. So that's going to be a very big hurdle for them to get over, actually. But there'll be more analysis on that, of course, throughout the course of the day.